they would say they want to make 100, but if you said, okay, you say you want to make 100 and you'll do whatever it takes, but are you putting in the effort to make 100? No.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. I am your host, Kylie Malad, joined by our co-host, the one and only Mr. Ryan Anderson. And today, he needs no introduction, if we're being honest. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you see his face, you're like, I know that guy. He's the best looking one in the room most days. He knows how to bring the energy, and gosh dang it, is he a good trainer. The one and only Cody Askins with 8% Nation. Cody, thank you so much for being here. We're stoked to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you guys. I thought you were talking about Ryan, so that was a nice surprise.
Oh, yeah. If only. Now, Cody, you're really a legend in the insurance and training industry. You're the founder and owner of 8% Nation. You're the founder of Kaboom Leads. You're also a primary and an IMO that's recently started up there in your hometown of Springfield, Missouri. You guys, you're just everywhere right now. And we got to meet you here a few months back when we flew into Springfield and we went to the 8% Nation out there, and you were so gracious to come on and visit our podcast. We really appreciate it. And as we're talking about stuff here, the end of the year's round kind of sneaking up on us. Right now we're in the heart of AEP, and folks are, kind of, when December 7th rolls around, Medicare agents are like, okay, I'm going to take a breather. What am I going to do? What would you recommend for agents right now as far as, okay, how to get prepped for next year, to kind of what you've been in the industry, you've trained literally thousands of agents. What pitfalls do you see? What's the best advice you could give somebody out there right now, do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm also a huge fan of Annuity Fundamentals and what you guys do. These are two of the most awesome, like, salt of the earth people you'll ever meet. They've been to Springfield twice now. Most people are like, Missouri? But they just keep, but compared to Idaho, they're like, freak, we'll keep coming back. No, just kidding. But they are incredible. To answer your question, buddy, I kind of think, I think it's a great time to spend time with family and, take a little bit of time off, that kind of thing. But I do think most people underestimate the amount of production. If it's Medicare, I get it. But in general, talking to the general audience, most people underestimate the amount they can accomplish at the end of the year. December was always my biggest month every single year. It is typically the biggest month in the insurance industry because a lot of people are striving to hit income goals and trips with captive companies and different stuff, So historically, so at least from a life insurance standpoint, there's typically more life insurance sold in December than any other month of the year. At least it used to be, right? I haven't looked at a stat recently, but that used to be true. And so I think that's big, right? Also, the way I think about the end of the year and starting a new year is, here's an example. My wife and I are taking what's called because I've been traveling nonstop. You guys mentioned it. Like, I'll end up speaking 20 hours in the last 4-5 days, right? Just like constant. My wife and I are taking a vision trip between December 1st and December 8th to start to look ahead to next year and actually take some time to ask each other questions, think about what we've done. What have we done well? What have we not done well? What's the vision? Where is this thing going, right? And yes, looking ahead and seeing what you can accomplish, what you can do, what you want to do, but actually, too, get a head start on budgets. Get a head start on marketing. Don't wait till January the 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th or whatever to actually start and launch, because if you do that, you will absolutely be behind the 8 ball, and you could have got off to a faster start. And I think that's a big part of business.
You know what? I appreciate you saying that, because I think we're all, I don't know, as most people do, right? First of the year, that means new year, new me, right? So we're making these new goals. So typically we do let off the gas November, December, because we've been working all year. But this isn't an industry like most, right? Our summer times are honestly our slower times because people are gone in insurance, and it's harder to run a workshop or whatever the case may be. But during the fall and winter, you're absolutely right. I think the importance of not letting off the gas in December is huge, and I think that's where people have their biggest downfalls is in December, because they're tired, the weather isn't great, if they're living in any sort of climate that has clouds or a winter, So I think it's easy for people to kind of shut off and say, oh, I'm going to be a bear and go hibernate for a couple of weeks and just take Christmas. And when I say Christmas, I mean 3 weeks, right?
Yeah,
and then
correct.
they'll say, okay, January comes around and I'm going to start fresh. I like that you are going on you called it a vision what?
Yeah, vision
your
trip.
wife?
Actually, I got the name of that. I got that from a buddy that I go to church with. They own a big real estate brokerage, and they do a vision trip every year. And I told Lauren the other day, I said, I need a little bit of a break. Like, I love what I do, very passionate about it. I said, but I've been going since 8% Nation. I've been traveling almost every week, multiple times a week. There may have been 1 week in there, maybe 2 that I didn't, but like literally, most of July, August, September, October, most of this month, like I've been going, and I enjoy it. It's good because you build momentum and you get in a groove, and like good things happen and everything grows. But I need to disconnect because like I am my most creative. Like when we bought a lake house a few years ago, we sold it now, but because I was like, I'm not retired yet, I don't need a lake house. But I enjoyed it for a second. But when I was at the lake house, we had a boat. We went on the lake, and this was a couple years back, probably this August of 2020 or 2022, and we're on the lake, and Lauren's driving around, and I'm just lounging around, and that's where a lot of my ideas come from. When I'm disconnected from my phone, when I'm on a trip, when I'm in the plane, when I'm even in the shower, if I'm on a boat, just different things where I'm not like, actively on my cell phone. And I thought about a lot of things, like one of the Ultimate Agent tours we did where we did 5 cities in 5 days, and we traveled around the country with 30 people on a private jet. We got to get Annuity Fundamentals in there next time we do it. When we did that, like I got that idea because I was disconnected. I'm more creative in those type of environments. And I think we underestimate and forget that. I say that cautiously because most people don't work as hard as they think they work. Let's be honest. I would say that most people in the insurance industry, large percentage, I would even argue 95%. I'm going to piss off most of your audience. This is going to be amazing. About 95% or more of insurance agents do not work a 40-hour week. They just don't.
I don't know how they're surviving.
They just don't.
I don't know. As you talk about the getting unplugged and going away here, I look at my own personal life. My wife and I did this big hike here a couple of years ago, and we hiked Hadrian's Wall in England. Hiked from the east coast to the west coast of England. It was 90 miles or 87 miles or something like that. It took us like 8 days. It was fantastic. But the thing about it is that we were out in the there weren't woods. We were out in the pastures and open fields of northern England, southern Scotland, or something like that. I can't remember the exact area. But it was in the purpose of that hike was basically I was contemplating starting this company. I was contemplating going out there and working with some partners, had some opportunities, and it was that time away. Just there's no cell phones, there's no email, there's none of that other stuff to really unplug. And at the end of that week, it was amazing because I had a time to clear my mind and really come up with some great ideas. And I think that time to unplug, just like you're talking, and I love the fact that, and a lot of people may not be aware of exactly how involved your wife Lauren is with your business. You're the public face out there, but every time we've been to your office, she's neck deep right in there with you, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah. She's active. She's finances, accounting, QuickBooks, bank accounts, loans, line of credits, all the stuff. And she's also, what I think she's the best at. Like I was talking about this morning about how we started serving at church. I've been going to this church, Courageous Church, for 3 years. I didn't want to get involved. They're like, hey, we want you to serve and be on the dream team and get involved. And they're like, hey, why don't you? I'm like, what would I do? They're like, well, you could greet, like be a door greeter or work at the info desk and give first timers mugs. And I'm like, really? Like my ego got in the way, pride, arrogance, all that. I'm like, freak, I'm traveling and speaking. I don't want to pass out mugs, However, I started doing that, and we started doing that together. It's some of our favorite time of the week. We absolutely love it. It fills our cup up. Like I go like, gosh, I got to do this again. And I leave like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I'm so glad I did that, which is true for a lot of things in life when we're dreading it and then we do it. But she is so much better at that stuff than me. Like she's so bubbly, happy, positive. She takes care of our team and pours into our team. Like for Easter, she was hopping around in like a bunny outfit, like giving everybody an Easter basket. Like, we call her the chief happy officer, you know, and our culture and our people, like Dylan is sitting here in the studio with me. He's been with us for 6.5 years. You know, we've been working together every day for 6.5 years. I'm shocked he can still put up with me. However, if it wasn't for my wife, who knows, man, you know, because she takes care of people, and that's undervalued in a business, by the way. It's always like work. But the relationships and what she pulls off in our organization is really cool.
You know what? You can tell. If you go to 8%, your team loves what they do. They really do. And you guys have a camaraderie, and that's so important. And having support just with you and in your business is incredible. And agents need that too. I mean, I wouldn't be here without the support of my spouse, and I know Ryan wouldn't be either. That support at home is massive. And if you can implement that somehow into your business like you've done, kudos. I mean, I think that's truly something special. And it's 8% for a reason. This is not for, you know, the week. I've said it before, you can suck at your job for 2 weeks at a W-2 and get paid. You cannot suck at this and get paid after 2 weeks. It's something you have to continually, you know, I don't even like the word grind, right? Because you do it because it's your life. Some days you work harder than others, and it really just depends. But I think putting it all out there is everything. I was listening to Pat Summit. Yeah. Do you know who that is?
Oh, yeah. Basketball coach.
Yes. So she's like one of the most winningest basketball coaches for women's basketball. Thank you. College. Correct. And she was telling a story about her son. And it was kind of an interview, right? So he was talking and she was talking. And she said, yeah, he came into the living room and he looked devastated. And he had tryouts that week. And I asked, well, how did it go? And he said, I didn't make it. And she said, my mother instinct was, gosh, I wanted to call the coach and say, just put him on the team and let him sit the bench and at least participate. Have him go to practice. And then the coach side of me came out and said, well, did you give it your all? And he said, no, I didn't. And she said, okay, well, then you have your answer. And he said, will you help me? I want to make this team next year. Will you help me? And she said, I will. I'll do everything that I know how in my power to help you be successful. What I won't do is be your engine. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks.
That's good.
Because how true is that? I do exploratory calls on annuityfundamentals.com. People book calls with me to see if this is a good fit. And they always come at me with, Kylie, I'm ready. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do something different. And like, I'm ready to make my business mine. And I'm like, great. You have to do a few things. Here you go. A, B, C, right? And when I say A, B, and C, it's really just like fill out some forms and like get registered. Guess who I don't see in the coming weeks in class? Yeah. So it really and that's what I love about 8% is you guys are all about like, hey, there's a lot of talking here. Let's put it into action, right? So your vision, what was it called? Why do I keep messing it up with your wife? What are you doing?
Vision trip. Yeah,
vision trip. Like if you could really be honest with yourself and have that vision trip and like just scale it down. Cody is talking about a vision trip for his business of 8% and how to take it to the next level. Most of our agents watching this are just saying, hey, how do I go from making $30,000 and literally barely surviving to clearing 6 figures? Yeah. There are people such as Annuity Fundamentals and 8% Nation, just to name a few resources, that there are people out here wanting you to be successful, but we cannot start your engine. I think it's important for agents to finally try and find their standard of like what are your non-negotiables. And I think you do a really great job at 8% to say, all right, I'm going on a vision trip because this is what I want it to look like. Or maybe you don't even know what you want it to look like yet, but you need that time. So let's hear some advice, Cody. You've been doing this a long time. How does that agent go from making $30,000-$40,000 to 6 figures in 2025?
Yeah, it's actually it's easier than people think. Like I did a call earlier. with like 140 agents, and we were talking about this topic, 0 to 6 figures, and most were new or making less than 50 grand. The average insurance agent, believe it or not, still only makes like 48 grand a year. And so it was like, hey, what do we do? You know, and the truth is, there's a lot to make a lot of money. More millionaires in this industry, but the average is 48. That doesn't make any sense. Well, it's the disconnect of the amount of people that make so little. However, we were talking about, someone was like, hey, I'm at 100. How do I go to 200? And I'm like, well, how many appointments do you run a week? They're like 10. I'm like, dude, run 20. You know, like it ain't rocket science. It's just whether you can figure out a way to run 20, put in the work to run 20, invest enough to run 20. I don't know. But like, that's the easy example, unless you get better or unless you start adding annuities and you increase your average commission per sell, right, et cetera. But I think a lot of it comes down to most people jump in the industry, and a lot of recruiters tell them they're just going to be a gazillionaire really quick and it's super easy, and we're going to hand you people that want to buy, and they're going to buy from you, and you're going to make some money, and then voila, Gigi's going to pop out of the hat and give you 100 grand, right? Whatever. When in reality, it does take a lot of work, you know, it does. Mm-hmm. And I think a big piece of it as well, for me, it was having a target and then finding ways to raise my belief that I could actually hit that target. Because most of the people that if they're listening right now and they're not making 100, they would say they want to make 100. But if you said, okay, you say you want to make 100 and you'll do whatever it takes, but are you putting in the effort to make 100? No, right? Back to the Pat Summit story. Or are you buying enough leads to get to 100? No. You know, it's like, okay, you say you want to make 100, but you're not doing the things to get there, right? And so if you think through that, it's like, okay, I want to make 100. I'm not. I think if you even ask them, like, do you think you can actually make 100? Deep down, a bunch of them would still say no. You know? That's the actual problem, really. Like the reason the vision trips and people set freaking New Year's resolutions, and then in 30 days they don't exist, right? Like most New Year's resolutions, it's like 82% of New Year's resolutions are non-existent in like 30 days, right? Whatever the stat is. I Googled it the other day, I forget what it was, but it was wild. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that you need to do, and why I do the trips and the goals and the, you know, different stuff, is because I am limited by this. I'm not limited by this. I'm not limited by this. I am limited by this. Mm-hmm. And when I went to my dad and said, you know, what should my goal be for my first year? Back when I was 20 years old, he said, you're my son. You'll make 100 grand your first year. And I'm like, who is he talking to, bro? Like, I got $8. I'm in college. I'm playing basketball. I'm going to school, all this stuff. Like, I've never done sales other than like selling my sisters on getting whatever I want growing up. Like, I've never really done sales. And he spoke life into me and started raising my belief. And because he said it, I started wondering if it could actually be true.
I guess, Cody, let's talk about worthiness, because I think you hit something just right on the head. It's so in here, and we see agents all the time, and I know you do too, and they say, this is what I want, but it's almost like their eyes don't match because they don't feel like they're worthy enough to make $100,000. And listen, agents, if you're not making $100,000 in America today, you're broke. So you have to provide for your family at the end of the day, and if you're not doing that, you need to adjust your business, because you do deserve better, and so does your family. And the only thing holding you back from making that $100,000 is yourself. So let's just get that out there right away. How do we breathe that life that your dad breathed into you? How do you do that for people?
Yeah. Gosh, it's such a good question. I was thinking about a story. I remember the other day, I was in LA, and I got in at like, I think it was like 1 a.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. Central, from traveling from another city to LA. And I get into LA, we're super late. I get hardly any sleep. I'm exhausted. My team calls me at 7:34 in the morning, like, hey, there's a message in your Instagram that you absolutely have to go read. And I'm like, okay. So they said, just trust us, read it now. I'm like, okay. So I open up my Instagram and I start reading the message. And it was an agent that was struggling. Life was really hard. Things were going terribly. Finances were a wreck. Confidence was at an all-time low. And they were contemplating whether they even deserved to live anymore. And I'm reading this message and I just, gosh dang it, dude, I just start crying. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a pastor. I don't know what to do in this example, you know? I just know the only thing that's right is to be a human and to talk to somebody and help them as much as I can. And the cool thing is I've got a buddy named Dallas that comes to a lot of our events. I think you guys have met Dallas at some point. He picked up the phone and called that agent because he was here with my team within minutes and spent an hour on the phone with somebody. Now, Dallas makes a lot of money. He's very busy. It didn't matter. He did what was right because there was an agent that did not feel worthy of living, unfortunately, at the moment. Well, that is married with kids, by the way. And I share that to say that I think there's a lot of ways to think about that. The ways to think about it is we all go through stuff. People are struggling. Also, another way to think about it too is if we don't start putting out videos 9 years ago and remain consistent, we never get that message. Well, there's agents that are struggling because they don't think they're good enough. And they're thinking that I don't know if I'm good enough, but I also don't know that I'm worthy enough to make that kind of money. Nobody in my family's ever made that kind of money. You know, I think you guys have heard this story too. I was in, my parents went to a family reunion in Little Rock, Arkansas a couple years ago. And at that reunion, a long lost aunt walks up to them and says, "Hey, do you realize that there's a high school in Independence, Mississippi that's playing Cody's videos for the kids?" And they called me and I got super emotional because I'm doing videos for insurance agents. I'm not doing videos for kids. And I looked up that city, Independence, Mississippi, and that county, and I didn't feel worthy at the moment for them to be watching my videos compared to all the other people they could be watching videos of, right? However, I look up that county. It's the most economically disadvantaged county in the entire state. And Mississippi is already probably the most economically disadvantaged state in the U.S. as it is. However, maybe it doesn't have to be that way forever. Maybe because we made a decision to get uncomfortable and to push every day when we didn't want to and to spend money when we didn't have it and to bust our freaking tail nonstop and to do the 10-hour trips to Memphis and back in the same day by myself, you know, and the getting in at 3 a.m. in Orlando and all the different things that happen constantly in business and in life when you don't want to push and you keep pushing, that maybe because of that, we're able to help a kid in Mississippi. And then maybe because of the decisions we made, it inspires them to then go make decisions. And then maybe their family and their generations and their city and their school looks different because of a decision that all of us made. And so I say that to say that I don't care where you grew up, how you grew up, what your family history looked like, even though we care about it. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're at right now, I am 100% positive it can look completely different, but it may not be tomorrow. It may not be a week from now, 30 days from now, maybe a year from now, maybe 9 years from now. However, when you first started riding a bike, you weren't any good. When you first got into sales, you sucked. When I first started playing, Kylie was probably good at basketball her whole life. When I first started playing, I wasn't any good, man. You know what I mean? I wasn't any good. However, I kept moving and I kept going. And a lot of people just need the encouragement to move. Take another step. Because I guarantee you, if you move and take enough steps, life will get so freaking amazing. God has blessed us way more than we've ever deserved or more than we ever dreamed would be possible. But we had to get up and move and take a step. It wasn't like, boats were going by to save us and we weren't getting in the boat. Like, dude, I will get in any boat that will help us and save us and allow us to help a bunch of insurance agents. And so I want to encourage people that no matter where you're at, you've got to keep moving. You got to keep taking a step.
I appreciate you saying that. I think that's so true. And something about our industry that is hard and why there is only 8% of people who have longevity in this career is because of the support or lack thereof. So especially if you're an independent agent and you're not looking to be in a hybrid or a captive situation, and I don't blame you, but you would need to find a home, whether that's online or a mentorship or an avenue you go down. But support is everything, even just to spitball ideas. I mean, did you say your videographer was Dylan? Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been with you for 7 years for a reason, right? Because you challenge him, things are moving. You are not in the same studio you were 7 years ago, correct? So
Correct.
everything moves. Everything moves. You've been moving. Ryan and I move. It always takes that step forward. And so if you're watching this, I encourage you, go to annuityfundamentals.com, book a call with me. And if you want to get into the annuity space, you have to take that first step forward. Cody's going to preach at you all day. So will I. You are worthy. Cody's going to help you. 8% Nation is going to help you. He's working his tail off around the clock. And what is he doing? He's encouraging agents and inspiring them to rise to the level that they want to be. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're saying, hey, you're great, but I know you can be better. And really, it's just implementing simple language or just maybe some ideas. And that's all people need. I mean, I remember I got into this industry 5 years ago, and I was with a variety of agents, a variety of ages, personalities, races. It was a very unique office. And I had an agent say, hey, do you know who Cody Askins is? And I said, no. She's like, watch his videos. And I did, right? It just takes one person to watch that video and say, oh, there's an idea. I never thought of it that way. But you have to be your engine, right? I can't be the one saying, hey, click this video. You have to get on the internet and say, okay, I'm going to click a video. I'm going to press play. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to go. Cody's holding an event. I'm going to go because I want to be different. I don't want to do the same things I've been doing and making $30,000, $40,000 a year. Because you're right. Agents are lazy. At the end of the day, they just are. You have your highly motivated ones who are really going to go out there and kill it. And then you have your ones who are like, oh, well, it didn't happen for me today, so I guess it just didn't happen. And then they just kind of chill. Don't be that guy.
No.
Always push forward. There's always that next opportunity. I love when he was like, you told that story. He was making 100,000 and he said, hey, I want to make 2. Okay, well, how many people are you seeing? 10. Okay, well, see 20. Like the math, that just, oh, I never thought of that. What do you mean? Double the people you see, double the opportunity, double the income. Like everything, when it comes to insurance, unfortunately, it is a numbers game. It's all about the opportunity. So I can super appreciate everything you've said today. I know we're running short on time here, but Cody, your influence is incredible. I am super glad you decided to put those videos out 8 years ago. I can't imagine how many people you've helped. Ryan and I have watched your videos. We've been to your events. 10 out of 10 recommend. And you and your wife, there's something just really special about you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. And when we went to 8%, my gosh, there was so much content. There was so much content in there. It was ridiculous. I came home with just a whole binder full of notes. So if you're looking to really absorb and take it to the next level, I know Cody has a couple events. Do you have some coming up, Cody?
Always. We do road shows every month in different cities. We will touch every corner of the country in the next 6 to 12 months. So you can go to 8percentnation.com, check out our events. Also, too, I wanted to add, we are so freaking blessed. There's so many moments where in business, when things are going well, it can go to your head, and you can become arrogant and prideful and all these things. Fortunately for me, God always finds a way to humble me when those things happen, and we've been through a lot the last 18 months. I know a lot of people listen to this have been through a ton, and maybe lately, maybe previously, maybe now, maybe today, right? Who knows? I'll share a few things really quick just to be vulnerable and kind of as an example, I bought a partner out of a company that was losing 6 figures a month. My mom got cancer last year. My father-in-law got cancer last year for the first time ever. We did, as Kylie mentioned before we got on, we did have to gut half of our house because of black mold and water damage. October of 2023, the company we bought ended up with a negative $107,000 in one of the bank accounts, right? Like everybody looks at the stuff we're doing and says, oh, they got a bunch of money, everything's perfect, nothing's going wrong. I don't wish that was true, because it's those lessons. It's the losing and the lessons that make us better, whether we like it or not. And so I want to encourage you that I go through stuff, but I don't stop. You're going to go through stuff. Keep moving. The thing about insurance is if you don't quit, you cannot fail. And so you get to choose whether you succeed or fail or not. Like 8% is a terrible statistic. It sucks. But you get to choose whether you're part of the 8% or 92% by simply, because you could choose to quit here sometimes, but never quit here. Because when you think it, everybody thinks it. Dude, I thought it freaking yesterday probably. Saturday, I'm driving 10 hours. I'm like, what the freak am I doing? I want to quit, right? However, I don't say it. Because when you say it, you start to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I am confident that no matter how bad you think you are, how broke you think you are, you can succeed at this thing, for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, Cody, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We're definitely going to have you back on. You're a gem. So thank you so much, Cody. And thank you for those listening. And this is Annuity Fundamentals. We will see you next time.